What if the life you built, the identity you believed in, could be taken away in a single second? This is the story of a man who controlled everything with his hands, until those hands failed him and reality itself forced him to change. Stephen Strange is one of the most brilliant neurosurgeons in the world. He's known for performing impossible surgeries, saving lives others would give up on, and pushing the limits of medical science. But behind his success lies something even stronger than his skill, his ego. Strange is arrogant, obsessed with perfection, and completely driven by success. He values results over people and believes control is everything. His life is filled with luxury, fame, and confidence. He works in a high-tech hospital, surrounded by cutting-edge equipment and top-tier professionals. But even in this world of healing, Strange is distant and emotionally detached. He treats medicine like a competition, not a calling. One day, while attending a meeting, Strange is presented with a case that seems impossible. A young man who had severe brain trauma is still alive and conscious. Most doctors would give up, but Strange sees it as a challenge. And challenge is something he never walks away from. He successfully performs a risky and complex surgery, proving once again why he is considered one of the best. But after this success, instead of gratitude, Strange becomes even more confident, almost careless. Later that night, while driving his expensive car at high speed, distracted by music and his thoughts, Strange loses control. The car crashes violently, flipping and crashing into the roadside. Glass shatters, metal bends, and in that moment everything changes. Strange survives, but his hands are badly injured. The very hands that defined his entire life are now damaged beyond repair. His fingers are unstable, his nerves are destroyed, and his ability to perform surgery is gone. For a man like Stephen Strange, this is not just an injury. It is a complete destruction of identity. At first, he refuses to accept it. He believes there must be a way to fix his hands using advanced medicine. He spends huge amounts of money on experimental treatments, surgeries, and therapies. He travels to specialists around the world, searching for hope, but nothing works. His hands remain uncontrollable, trembling constantly. His surgical career is over. As time passes, Strange's situation worsens. He loses confidence. He becomes frustrated, angry, and isolated. The people around him begin to distance themselves. The man who once saved lives now struggles just to function. But Strange refuses to give up. He hears about a man who was paralyzed but somehow recovered in a miraculous way. This leads him to a distant place, Kathmandu, where he searches for answers beyond modern science. In this unfamiliar environment, Strange begins asking questions that science cannot answer. He eventually meets a mysterious woman known as the Ancient One. At first, Strange is skeptical. He believes everything she says is nonsense. But then, she demonstrates something impossible. She sends his consciousness into an entirely different dimension. This experience changes everything. Strange realizes that reality is not fixed. It is flexible. It can be manipulated. For the first time in his life, he feels something beyond logic, possibility. He begins training under the Ancient One, although he still struggles to accept the idea of magic. His arrogance doesn't disappear easily. He questions everything, challenges instructions, and doubts the process. But slowly, he begins to learn. He trains his mind, practices controlling energy, and studies ancient texts. He learns about powerful artifacts, including the Eye of Agamotto, a relic capable of controlling time itself. As Strange trains, he also learns about the structure of reality, different dimensions, the astral plane, and the mirror dimension, where space can be manipulated without affecting the real world. With each lesson, his understanding grows, but so does his responsibility. Meanwhile, a dark threat begins to rise. A former student of the Ancient One named Kaecilius has broken away from her teachings. He believes that life is meaningless and that humanity should embrace eternal existence by breaking the natural laws of time and space. But his true goal is far more dangerous. He seeks to summon Dormammu, a powerful entity from the dark dimension, a being that exists beyond time and reality. Kaecilius and his followers steal powerful relics from the temple, killing sorcerers and weakening the protection of Earth. Their actions begin to destabilize the balance between dimensions. The Ancient One confronts Kaecilius, and during their battle, a shocking truth is revealed: she has been drawing energy from the dark dimension herself to extend her life. Even she is not perfect. This moment adds depth to her character, showing that even those who guide others are not without flaws. In the battle, the Ancient One is mortally wounded. Before she dies, she passes the responsibility to Strange, recognizing that he is ready to protect the world. Strange, now fully aware of the stakes, must step into a role he never imagined. From a skeptic to a protector, from a student to a guardian, he joins the battle against Caecilius and his followers, now armed with knowledge and magical artifacts. Using the Eye of Agamotto, Strange gains control over time. This gives him a massive advantage, allowing him to reverse damage and correct mistakes. But even with this power, the fight is far from easy. In a massive battle that takes place in a collapsing reality, Strange uses creativity and intelligence to outmaneuver his enemies. Buildings twist, gravity shifts, and space folds in on itself. But Caecilius succeeds in opening a gateway to the dark dimension. Reality itself begins to collapse. The influence of Dormammu starts spreading into the world. Strange realizes that this battle cannot be won with force alone, so he makes a decision that changes everything. He enters the dark dimension. There, he confronts Dormammu directly, but quickly realizes he is no match for such a powerful being. Dormammu kills him instantly, but Strange prepared for this. Using the Eye of Agamotto, he traps himself and Dormammu in a time loop, again, and again, and again. Dormammu kills Strange repeatedly, but every time, the loop resets. Strange endures unimaginable repetition, facing death countless times, refusing to surrender. Dormammu becomes frustrated. For a being that exists outside time, this endless loop becomes unbearable. Eventually, Dormammu agrees to a deal. He will leave Earth and never return if Strange ends the loop. Strange accepts. He wins, not through strength, but through persistence, strategy, and intelligence. Back on Earth, the threat is gone. Caecilius and his followers are defeated, and balance is restored. Strange has changed completely. He is no longer the arrogant surgeon who cared only about himself. He is now a guardian of reality, a protector of Earth, a master of the mystic arts. And this is only the beginning of his journey, because the universe is vast and dangerous, and Strange has just stepped into a much larger world. Don't forget, like, share, comment, and subscribe.